Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is sharing his well wishes for a fast recovery with the victims of yesterday's Virginia shooting attack. Early Wednesday morning, while practicing for a children's charity baseball game, Congressman Steve Scalise, a congressional aide, a lobbyist for Tyson Foods, and 2 police officers were shot by 66-year-old gunman James T. Hodgkinson. In an evening statement, Netanyahu said, quote, "On behalf of the government and people of Israel, I send our heartfelt wishes for a full and speedy recovery to Congressman Steve Scalise and the other victims of today's tragic shooting attack in Virginia. We stand with the victims, their families, and the American people on this difficult day," end quote. The FBI is reportedly now attempting to investigate Hodgkinson's rifle and handgun, and are also looking into his associates' whereabouts, social media impressions, and potential motivations. The players on the field were all Republican lawmakers and their associates. The shooter is known to be a staunch supporter of Democratic presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders. He even worked on Sanders' campaign. Hodgkinson was taken down and arrested, but later died of his injuries. 16 different NGOs have just come out in support of the United Nations assessment on Gaza's current power crisis. In a statement sent to Israel's Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit, the human rights groups are warning of a total collapse in Gaza should Israel continue with the plan to reduce power in the Strip by roughly 40%. They write that they sent an urgent letter, quote, demanding that Attorney General Mandelblit advise the members of the Security Cabinet to immediately rescind its decision to reduce the supply of electricity sold and provided by Israel to the Gaza Strip, end quote. Israel decided to cut the power on Sunday at the behest of PA President Mahmoud Abbas. The reduction resulted in just 3 to 4 hours of electricity to Gaza residents per day, as opposed to the previous 6. Cutting power further in the Strip is seen by many as a dangerous move, as it endangers hospitals and emergency services, like intensive care units or people on life support. The Hamas terror organization that has control over the Gaza Strip has refused to pay the Palestinian Authority for their electric bills, allegedly leading to Abbas's decision. The move is also seen as an attempt to rein Hamas in under the control of the PA, something that hasn't happened since the bloody Hamas-Fatah coup in 2007. United Nations humanitarian coordinator for the Palestinian territories, Robert Piper, also criticizes the move, saying that the people in Gaza should not be held hostage to this long-standing internal Palestinian dispute. Prime Minister Netanyahu, on the other hand, has stated that he is listening to the PA precisely because it's an internal Palestinian dispute, and that, quote, Israel has no interest in an escalation with Gaza. It looks like the corruption investigation against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu might carry on well into the summer. The investigation, dubbed Case 1000, centers around allegations that Netanyahu and his family accepted hundreds of thousands of shekels in gifts, like cigars and champagne, from Israeli-born Hollywood producer Arnon Milchan and Australian billionaire businessman James Packer. According to the Hebrew-language news site Ynet, Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit held a meeting earlier this week with the 2 lead attorneys involved in the case. During the meeting, it became apparent that the case is expected to drag on for a few more months. One of the attorneys' president, Shai Nitzan, defended the delay, saying, quote, "If only it was possible to close the investigation more quickly. Because we're talking about the Prime Minister, our job is to oversee the investigation, the Attorney General personally and myself personally. You need to understand that in investigations like this, on the one hand, you want to proceed as quickly as possible, and on the other hand, you can't leave any stone unturned," end quote. Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman has again just come out in support of shutting down the Al Jazeera news offices in Israel. According to Lieberman, there is no reason for Al Jazeera to continue to transmit from Israel. It is not media, it is a propaganda outfit in the style of the Soviets or Nazi Germany. He added that all the reporting on Israel is biased and hostile, while the channel says nothing about Iran. When asked how the news station could be closed, Lieberman said, "We are seeking a legal solution." On Monday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with various agencies such as the Foreign Ministry, Shin Bet Security Service, Government Press Office, and Defense Ministry to explore the possibility of closing the bureau. The move comes after Saudi Arabia and Jordan have already stopped Al Jazeera from operating within their territories in response to an ongoing diplomatic crisis between Qatar and much of the Sunni Arab world. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Egypt, among others, have all recently shut off diplomatic relations with Qatar, accusing the gas-rich Gulf state of, quote, supporting terrorism. Al Jazeera has nearly 80 offices across the world and broadcasts in several languages. With a consumer-level digital camera and a bit of ingenuity, Researchers at Tel Aviv University have made a startling new discovery about a pottery shard dating back to the time of Jeremiah. They've assembled a team of crack applied mathematicians, physicists, and archaeologists, including a professor Israel Finkelstein as co-director. The team is using multispectral imaging to find inscriptions on artifacts that are invisible to the naked eye, and it's already paying off. A re-examination of the Tel Arad pottery hoard is telling us new secrets about the military infrastructure of Judah around 590 BCE. For example, Astrakhan number 16, a letter from Eliashiv to Netanyahu, was thought to merely contain a discussion about transferring some silver, but now we know that Netanyahu requested a supply of wine. Ronit Gadish, the scientific secretary of the Academy of Hebrew Language, says the historical value here is not just in the documentation of Judean diets and supply lines, it's also linguistic. The trove teaches about grammar, vocabulary, on the form and development of the writing, spelling, and also about the Hebrew used at the time, Gadish says. Knowing more about the vernacular Hebrew of the time could enhance our understanding of other biblical and ancient Hebrew texts. That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.